So hey guys, what's up? So welcome to World 20 News channel. So let's talk about AC in the time of COVID, the apprehensions and what the guidelines say. With summer having arrived during an outbreak, a question being asked is whether people should be careful about using air conditioners. A number of researchers have predicted that the novel coronavirus is unlikely to survive high temperatures. Additionally, a study by Chinese researchers has concluding that droplet transmission was prompted by the air-conditioned ventilation. Not many other studies, however, have associated AC use with coronavirus spread. The government has issued general guidelines on the use of the air conditioners. These are limited to temperature and relative humidity in the context of the virus. What are the guidelines? The guidelines compiled by the news agencies of heating, refrigeration and air conditioner engineers ISHRAE say a temperature between 24 to 30 degrees Celsius should be maintained while operating ACs at home, and that relative humidity levels in the range of the 40% to 70% is considered more suitable. ISHRAE cites data from a study which examined of the transmission of the coronavirus in 100 cities of China. The study had indicated that the high temperature and the high humidity significantly reduce the transmission of the influenza. Studies conducted at various RH levels have shown that using wire culture methods, low temperature 7 to 8 degrees Celsius were optimal for airborne influenza survival, with the virus survival decreasing progressively at the moderate temperatures 20.5 to 24 degrees Celsius, and the further decreases at higher greater than 30 degrees Celsius temperature. As some per recent studies, SARS-CoV-2 has been found highly stable on surfaces for 14 days at 4 degrees Celsius, 1 day at 37 degrees Celsius, and 30 minutes at 56 degrees Celsius was needed to inactive the virus. ISHRAE states, what is the significance of humidity range stipulated? Relative humidity is believed to affect ineffective of the coronavirus. Moisture in the air plays a primary role in improving the protection against the respiratory infection in the upper respiratory tract. Most surfaces where the mucous layers of the collect larger particles before they enter the trachea and the pharynx. In the lower respiratory tract, the bronchial and the alveoli trap small particles. When we breathe dry air, the mucous membrane in the lungs also become dry. The fluid over the lining of the cells become more viscous, and the cilia, the little hair that protects our lungs from deep setting of the particles, are rendered dysfunctional so that the particles settle more deeply in the lungs. Humidity levels of the 40 to 70% are considered the most ideal range for humans to fight pathogens. ISHRAE also notes the studies indicate that 80% of the relative humidity tend to neutralize the COVID-19 virus. The guidelines state that in dry climate, relatively humidity should not be allowed to fall below 40%. Water evaporating from a pan cap should be kept in the room. This will increase the humidity if it falls below 40%. Among other guidelines, the recirculation of the cool air by the room air conditioners must be accompanied by the outdoor air intake to slightly open windows and exhaust by the natural exfiltration. Fresh air in the intake through a fan filter unit will prevent the outdoor dust entry containing high levels of the PM10 and PM2.5 particles, and exhaust through kitchen and toilet exhaust fans kept operational. The guidelines state what is the study that linked COVID-19 with air conditioning. It was conducted by the Gazio Center for the Disease Control and Prevention in an air-conditioned restaurant involving 3 family clusters, it including that the droplet transmission was prompted by air-conditioned ventilation, and the key factor for infection was the direction of the airflow. The study strongly recommended by increasingly the distance between the tables and improving ventilation. The researchers studied 10 positive patients from 3 families who had eaten in the same air-conditioned restaurant. The family, which had earlier traveled to the one denied in the restaurant on January 24 with the other 2 families. B and C sat at the neighboring tables on the same day. One member, A1 of family A, experienced onset of fever and cough and went to the hospital, and on February 5, a total of 9 others, 4 members of family A, 3 members of family B, and 2 members of family C, become ill with the COVID-19. The study had found that the only known source of the exposure for the infected person in the family B and C was patient A1 at the restaurant. Virus transmission in this outbreak cannot be explained by the droplet transmission alone. Larger respiratory droplets less than 4 microns remain in the air for only a shorter time and travel only short distances, generally greater than 1 meter. The distances between the patient A1 and the person at other tables, especially those at table C, were greater than 1 meter. However, strong airflow from the air conditioner could have propagated droplets from the table C to table A and then to table B and then back to table C, the study concluded. So if you like the channel, so kindly subscribe to it.